I think one of the biggest things that society has done is always found a way to take something that is used to be so empowering and flip it and make it so corrupt. I think that the whole feminist movement was something that was seen to be so beautiful and something so empowering that in this new day and age, it kind of took it and spent it and made it a little corrupt. I think some of the most powerful things that women can do is have their choice of not to give in to society's lustful temptations. And what I seen and what I fell victim to was becoming still a sexual object for men and worrying more about the pleasure of men than the pleasure of one's own self and being a woman. And I think that this society has definitely pushed the meaning of meaningless, emotionless sex and made it super physical. I think that sex is so sacred. I think that it is something that God knew he wanted to be sacred because a life is formed from that, and two beings become one in that. And because of that, that is something that is truly seen to be the most sacred divine connection that we are all kind of losing. When you casually give yourself away to somebody, you are taking on that energy. Regardless if you believe it or not, you're taking on that energy. So there is no casual form of sex. And I think that society has really allowed women to settle in the fact that, oh yeah, I am a woman and I have sexual desires and sexual urges, and it played into that if you do not release those urges, then society is trying to put you in a box and they're trying to hold you. But really, because women are the spiritual, they're the divine connection with God, and not to say that men aren't either, but that feminine energy is that divine connection with God, is the spiritual. It is something that is meant to be honestly, truly experienced with someone who can also nourish, nurture, protect, and guide you through that experience. And we're seeing a lot of society playing off that, we have these needs, and as men they have these needs, and we have these physical needs to basically get it in. And then women, they tell you that if you're not basically doing it, if you're not owning into that, that's, society is trying to suppress that from you. But really, your divineness is so sacred that you should be protected, that you should be, holding it down for divine connections and for a divine connection. And that was something that I had to look at throughout my life, and I had to realize that society was pushing heavily that disconnect with the body. And once you give yourself, you take on that energy. As women, we are receivers. We're taking on that energy. We are taking on whatever problems, whatever pains, however many sexual partners, we are constantly taking that energy in, and we are holding it in because we don't know the safe way to release it. And it's causing us to lack our creativity to even be connected. It is causing jealousy, envy, greed. It is causing so many disheartening, and us to not be in balance. It's causing so many disimbalances. I feel like that is not the correct way to say that, but we're gonna use it. It is causing us to truly lose our divine connection because we are so into this stage of casual sex. And it is due to a lot of us feeling we we want love so bad that we have placed sex in the form of love. We think that the intimacy that we crave is sex, because that is all, for a lot of time, that has been given to us. That is our first forms of intimacy. That is our first forms of people truly telling us that they love us, or that, you know, they value us, was in a sexual sense. And then we go and we take our first sexual experiences being something that maybe is, you know, trigger warning, that it may be sexual assault or porn. And we learn this disconnection. We learn to disconnect our bodies, disconnect our minds and our spirits, in that sex is just this physical exchange, that you overly lust over somebody. And that is something that is really, that you should pay attention to, that we should pay attention to, that we should pay attention to. Do we really want to get to know this person? Is this a person who I want to sit down and get to know? I want to know what you think. I want to know, what are you like? What do you do for fun? Like, I want to know you in every bit of you. I want to see how you are in the light and in the dark before I try to enter your sacred space. And we're falling victim to always constantly seeing sex and thinking that this is something that I want. 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 Instead of tuning off that. When you tune off that, when you go into your sacral chakra, when you go into healing the womb, when you go healing your heart, you go into all of that, you will realize that that urge you don't really have. It is something that is being indoctrinated into your brain, that I must have this in order to feel good about myself, in order to feel pleasure. But you have to learn what is pleasure outside of sex. And when you truly don't love yourself, you search for physical reasons and physical things to show you what love is. And that is something that I really, really want women, but also men, because men are lacking that self-love too. So even to give themselves freely to women who they don't know, women who they don't care about, women who don't value them, who won't care about their emotions, who they can't just, you know, release that emotion, that all the stress, you can't release that onto them without sex, then you shouldn't release that onto them during sex. And that is something that I truly, honestly feel that we have to start paying attention to, and we need to take that power back, with understanding that our bodies are temples of God. They are the temples of the Most High. They are housing not only our spirits, but they're housing God. So when there is a disconnect with the temple, with the housing of God, when you are allowing energy to flow in that is not the most sacred, abundant, joyful, happy, loving energy, you are messing and imbalancing up you physically with, you know, your pH balance, your hormones and things like that, but you're also providing yourself to be imbalanced spiritually. And with that, you're constantly going to keep craving that love outside of you, and that love is not outside of you, it is inside of you. So we have to take back the sacredness and get back to owning into that sacredness of what sex is. You become one, you merge together. And we have to understand that if that is not a person that I want to become one with, then I don't think that, you know, I should be engaging in this activity. If I do not truly feel safe with every part of me, that means the dark and the light parts of me with this person, I should not engage that with. But even before engaging in that with another person, you have to tap into yourself am I even comfortable? Am I even feeling worthy of my dark and my light side? Am I even comfortable with my dark side? Am I even comfortable with these emotions that I feel? Am I even acknowledging these emotions? Have I healed any hurt and trauma that could have been at my sacral chakra? Are there any things that could have damaged my perception of what sex truly is, what love truly is, and could cause me to search and to look lustfully? Lust is such a low vibration, and it disconnects you from being one up here with your highest self and being one with God, the creator. Sex allows you to create. That is your creation center. And you shouldn't want anybody and just everybody to indulge in that. And so that is something that I had to realize, that I had to become protective of this house of spiritual beings, to be a reflection of that. When you read, I read the Bible, so just seeing all the work that Moses put into the tabernacle when he was building, and every time they needed to go build it somewhere else, how much work went into building it, that they didn't want anything to corrupt it. That no, you got to do that outside of this place, because I don't want you to corrupt entering this place. You got to be over there for this amount of days. You got to go do this before you can enter this place. That is how it should be. That is how it should be, because this is the temple. This is the temple that God refers to. So you should always be nourishing that, because God dwells here in your temple. So you should pay attention to what can you provide to me spiritually? What offerings? And that is the spiritualness. What spiritual cleanses did you do before you think that you can enter this temple that houses the Most High? And when we start thinking about it like that, we'll start understanding that we have that self-love, because it starts there. It starts with the self-love. You start moving different when you have that self-love. You start really caring about yourself when you have that self-love. And so start understanding that we have to be more mindful of the connections, because even from that, we are creating, whether we create a business, whether we create books or movies or a life, we want to have the most sacred part of us, and this is men too. That sacredness should be with somebody who can handle, who is also in that energy of understanding their sacredness. So when we come together and merge as one, we can truly be at that high vibration and being divinely poured into by God. And so thank you for watching. See you in the next one.